Premier League action on the TCO. It's Norwich City against Manchester City, and the teams are almost in the tunnel ready for kick-off. I'm the host today, Russ Vinnan, and standing by ready for us is the brilliant commentary team that we have got. Let me hand over to them right now, and let's start off by handing across to your match commentary team. First of all, it is Paul James alongside him. First of all, let's say, when we hand across to JB, let's hand across to Paul James and just ask Paul one quick question. Paul, what is your prediction for this game between Norwich City and Manchester City kicking off very, very shortly?
Well, to be honest with you, Russ, I can only see this game going one way. City today are putting Kevin De Bruyne on the bench. They obviously feel they don't need him, but this is a very talented City side. They are number 2 on goals scored in the league. They are a very, very good team. I can see Manchester City winning this comfortably today, to be honest.
What is the scoreline you're going to go for, Paul?
I'm going to go for 3-0.
Okay, there is the thoughts of Paul James. He's your co-commentator today. And now it's time for me to hand over to your match commentator alongside Paul. It's time for me to hand over to Paul James. And first, JB.
And thank you very much indeed, Russ, and a very well welcome to everybody here at Carrow Road. And it's great to be back live for the TCO. My first live match since January the 7th when Nottingham Forest knocked Arsenal at the FA Cup. Yes, I have done a recorded game last week at Bournemouth, but well, you can't beat live, can you? It's absolutely superb. Both teams out on the field, and this really affects both ends of the league spectrum. Manchester City could go as much as 13 points clear, but Liverpool will have that game in hand at Burnley tomorrow. A game I'm actually going to see a spectator, actually, which I'm looking forward to going on there as a Burnley fan. But we're at Carrow Road tonight, Paul James and myself. Let me give you the two teams. Angus Gunn is in goal for Norwich City, the son of former Norwich keeper Brian. Then it's Max Aarons, Grant Hanley, Ben Gibson and Brandon Williams, an all British back four. Grant Hanley, of course, from Scotland. The other three are English. And then it's Pierre-Lise Mello, Billy Gilmore on loan from Chelsea, and Kenny McLean in the midfield. 2 Scots and a Frenchman in that midfield. And it's Josh Sargent, the American, Timo Pukki of Finland, the top scorer with 6 goals, and Miljat Rashica leading the line up front. On the bench, Mike McGovern, Sam Byram, Christoph Zinnerman, Kieran Dow, Poshita, Matthias Norman, Toslis, Dimitris, and Jonathan Rowe. I hope I got those right. Edison in goal for Manchester City, the regular keeper. Then it's Walker, Diaz, Ake, and Chinchenko across the back. So much change back forward. In fact, 5 changes from the team on Wednesday. Bernardo Silva, Fernandinho, and Gundogan get the places for Manchester City in the 3-man midfield. And it's Riyad Mahrez. Phil Foden will play as a central striker. Raheem Sterling will start on the left-hand side of the attacking 3. Amongst the substitutes, we've got Scott Carson, John Stones, Larry Report, Rodri, De Bruyne, Chancelo, Kaiki, Liam Delap, and James McAtee. Great atmosphere, as it always is at Carrow Road. They're going to match each other 4-3-3, and it's going to be an intriguing game of chess between a team that are third from bottom with just 17 points on the board and the team that's top with a massive 60 points. Unthinkable at this stage, and potentially they stand to go 13 points clear of Liverpool with a victory. Chelsea also in action as well. We'll keep you up to date as well with what's going on at as well at.
We appear to have just lost JB there for a few moments. We'll bring him back in once we can, but the game's just about to get underway. Norwich City against Manchester City. Nathan Ake just booted ball out for a throw, 25 seconds gone. And we'll just watch this throw from Norwich, and then we'll get ready to hand back to JB in just a second or so. And Paul James is going to be alongside him. In fact, we'll wait for the throw to be taken. It's time to hand back over to JB.
Thanks, Russia. In fact, we're just about to start on my footage, so we can actually start from the beginning, funnily enough. So the players are about to take a knee, of course, in the protest, of course, against equality in not just football, but in all walks of life, and roundly applauded around this vast Carrow Road ground. And it's going to be Norwich City in canary yellow with green shorts to get us underway. City in the chain strip of white, and off we go. Then big gains this. Both teams needing the points for different reasons. Manchester City to go another 3 points closer to another league title, which will be their second in 3 years. As for Norwich, looking to end this barren run of becoming a yo-yo club, and they could well be relegated. Well, they're in a battle with Dean Smith's side to stave off relegation for the third time in the last 7 years. So this really is, the stakes could not be higher for Dean Smith's side. But Pep Guardiola's side know that with a 13-point cushion and with Liverpool having to travel to Turf Moor with a bit of trepidation, this could be an interesting occasion. Don't forget, Russ will keep you in touch with what's happening in the World Cup final between Chelsea, involving Chelsea during the first half. Any goals that go in, we'll let you know straight away on the TCM. And already a chance here for Norwich in the opening exchanges. The ball blocked across and hopped away by Nathan Ake. And the flag, in fact, had gone up for an offside, but a nervy moment, Paul James, alongside me in the commentary box at Carrow Road tonight. A nervy moment there for Manchester City.
Yes, the ball, it was offside, of course, but the linesman's flag went up late. But that was just a long ball downfield. And perhaps City just fell asleep early on there. There was the error there as well, the miss kick. But really, if that wasn't offside, you need to take advantage of chances like that against a team like Manchester City. Rashica offside, but...
Yes, he was offside. I looked at the replay. Just to keep you updated with the officials, obviously, because we didn't get a chance to give you that. Andre Mariner is the referee who's travelled across from Birmingham. His assistants are Richard West and Scott Ledger. The fourth official is Tony Harrington. And VAR's obviously involved because it's a Premier League game. So Paul Tierney is the man at Stockley Park this evening. 2 minutes gone on the TCM on all platforms. Norwich City 0, Manchester City 0, and this Premier League team. And it's a team in white, Manchester City, that are coming forward now with Fernandinho. Midway inside the Norwich half. Finds Kyle Walker. Walker now just darted out towards Riyad Mahrez, the former Leicester player. Mahrez gets the ball back. In fact, there's 4 players in that City side that have 7 goals and are the joint top scorers. Sterling tries to get the ball into the penalty area. Foden says handball. Referee Mariner says corner. Of course, Stockley Park will obviously check it, but I don't think it was possibly a handball there, although Foden was saying it hit his hand, but it is a corner anyway. They come off a Norwich player last. Zinchenko now. He turns a defender on the seat of his pants. Finds Mahrez, who chips it into the penalty area. Has the flag gone up? It has. Oh, has it? No, it hasn't. Well, it has gone up at the end of it all. These offsides are catching me out in the early stages, Paul, but City have had the ball in the net. But quite rightly, the linesman on that near side flagged, and the goal, quite rightly, Paul, does not stand.
Yeah, he is offside, but again, it's very, very annoying, these late flags. And, of course, while linesmen are doing that, City are right to play on, and Norwich should play on as well. They just sat back and watched. He was offside, but I don't think you can afford to do that with Manchester City.
No one could do. Well, absolutely. And I must admit, I say this nearly every commentary I do for the TCO. Now, why can't the linesmen, when they know that the player is offside, just put the flag up straight away? The sooner that silly rule is changed for offside, the better it will be for the game, the better it will be for everybody, and then we can get a free-flowing game. What is the point in carrying on when the player's quite clearly offside? I will never know, Paul, and it really rags my chain, really, because that just, it's an annoying sense for everybody, the crowd, the spectators, the commentators, the television viewers, and the listeners that are tuning into our coverage this evening. It's quite annoying, really, isn't it?
It is. It's very frustrating. It's a silly rule, and it needs doing away with. I can understand why they want to do it, because on paper it looks like a good idea, but in reality it doesn't work. It's a bad idea.
Yeah, and as soon as that wheel comes out the game, the better, as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, here's Aki now inside the centre circle, soon his own half, goes over the halfway line, gets it out to the left-hand side, and Raheem Sterling infield to Gundogan. City just moving the ball around very nicely, very casually, but very good. Good football there. Little chip forward, looking towards Mahrez, and it's been found. Little mistake there in the Norwich defence. And here's Bernardo Silva inside the box. Bernardo Silva has hit the post, and it's somehow come back into the arms of Angus Gunn. Well, he did all the hard work there. He got the shot off, and he hit the left-hand side. He hit the inside of the left-hand post. And thankfully, from a Norwich City viewpoint, the ball bounced, Paul, into the grateful arms of goalkeeper Angus Gunn. Still 0-0.
Oh, wow. This City team have goal scorers all over the field. They barely have an individual in the top 10 list of goal scorers. But overall the pitch, they just have goal-scoring threat everywhere. And that was a superb move. Initially, Brendan Williams playing him on side, but what a chance. How unfortunate for City.
Yeah.
Still 0-0.
Yeah, still 0-0. And Pep Guardiola had his head in his hands there. He knows that was a decent opportunity. Not gilt-edged because it's still early days, and you still expect Manchester City with their capabilities to run right here tonight. When they are in the mood, they are very merciless and show no mercy to the opposition. And again, a lovely ball out towards Zinchenko on the far side. Zinchenko's cross. And again, Norwich trying to clear their lines and not doing a very good job, but they've got it out for a throw-in line with the 6-yard box. Brandon Williams, the Manchester United loanee, getting back there and stopping it. 6 minutes gone on the TC Hub. J-DAC Football, Storm FM, JB Sports and TC Hub 2. I could also announce as well, J-DAC Football will next season will be streaming commentaries of all TC Hub games. So great to have J-DAC Football listeners listening to our content again next season. That also incidentally includes the Women's European Championships in the summer. And of course, the 2022 World Cup later this year in Qatar. Nice to have you with us, all listeners to the J-DAC Football channel. Nice to have you with us. Oh, that's YouTube, incidentally. We're also on Twitch. By the way. We're not on Periscope anymore, and we're certainly not on. We are on Twitter, but not streaming live on Twitter. Our Twitter handle, incidentally, is Commentary Live 1. If you want to check that out. The win probability, you won't be surprised to hear, Paul. 5% Norwich, 15% the draw, 80% Manchester City. Just sums it up, doesn't it?
It does really, doesn't it? And so far, early on in this game, that picture has been told as well.
It certainly has. And here's Mahrez now, just starting in from the right-hand side. Plays the ball to Fernandinho. Just over it, the pass slightly, but Fernandinho was able to reach it. Zinchenko is free on this left-hand side, and there's 5 City men to cross to. And one of them was Gundogan, who got the header in from 7 or 8 yards out, but he headed it straight in the yards of Angus Gunn. And Manchester City at this moment, Paul, really turning up the pressure and the power on this Norwich defence. And you'd like to think at this stage, Paul, it's only going to be a question of time before City do actually score.
Yeah, it is. And Norwich's defence is woeful at the moment. Too much space for Gundogan there. You have to understand that he is a goal scorer in the midfield, and he creates as well. That is woeful defending.
Yep, absolutely. Earlier today, just to remind you that Everton won by 3-0 against Leeds. Sorry, Russ, to bring that one up. And Manchester United, these are just one or two of the notable results. I'll get you the other scores a little bit later on as well from Brentford, and Brighton were winning, lost, I heard as well. But I know Manchester United dropped another 2 points. They got 2 points against Burnley, who put in a very good second half display, I thought, against United on Tuesday night. A bit more of the same tomorrow, Sean Dyche and boys. That would be lovely. That would please Paul and myself. And I'm going to Turf Paul, so I want you guys to really put on your best show. Well, let's just cotton on to the fact now that City are well in control of this game, but Norwich holding in there. 83% possession, I've just seen on my screen. But here's the ball given away, and here's Timo Pukki. He's on his own here. He's against 3 City defenders. He'll have to do it alone. He does have a little bit of support, though. And Norwich really need to just have a little bit of possession and just try and do something with it. Leeds Mel, get it out to the far side. Now, this is where you think Norwich need to exploit them here. And they're going to have a go here. Shot comes in. I think it was Max Aarons with the shot. And it came out once again. It's very difficult to tell. There was a bit of a crowd scene in there, but Norwich just having a little bit of a possession there, but not really threatening City at all. But they need to really get on the ball and just try and test Manchester City if they can. Ball play forward. It's Pukki. It's out the area. Pukki shoots, but it's straight down the throat of Edison, who had the near post. Well to recover. A good couple of minutes there for Norwich City, Paul. We've had 9.5 minutes here on the TC Hub, and it's still Norwich City 0, Manchester City 0. A chance there for Norwich, Paul.
Yeah, Pookie here is dangerous. He is a very dangerous forward, and if anybody in that Norwich side can cause City some trouble, it's him.
Yeah, absolutely. He's the top scorer on 6 goals, way out in front. The next top scorers have about 5 of them. But including Josh Sargent, the other striker ball played in from the left-hand side, and Phil Foden was probably half an inch away from getting on the end. He stretched inside the 6-yard area to try and prop the ball into the back of the net, and he just failed by half an inch. We'll get a view of that from Paul as soon as we get a replay in a second or two. We've had 10 minutes gone on all TCR platforms, and a free kick has been given for handball by Timo Pukki, and City get on with it straight away. Gundogan has possession. Still 0-0 if you've just joined us. Manchester City have had the ball in the net, but alas, the goal hasn't stood. We'll try and keep you up to date if we can with what's happening in the World Cup final involving Chelsea, looking to win that tournament for the very first time, and they've got a few games. Tuchel's meant to catch up. They've got a few fixture congestion problems as well in that World Club Championship out in Qatar. So we'll try and keep you updated what's happening with Chelsea. They're getting kicked off at 4:30, the World Cup Championship final. Here's Raheem Sterling on the far side. Premier League football for us on the TC Hub on all platforms this evening. It's JB and Paul. JB, John Stutter, that's myself, and Paul James alongside me in the commentary box. It's the Burnley duo in Norwich, the home of one of our relegation rivals. At the moment, it's Manchester City well on top here, and it's Raheem Sterling. 11 and a half minutes almost gone. It's Sterling now, hits the defender, and they claim a foul there, Norwich, and they get it from Mr. Mariner of Birmingham, and a little bit of respite there. Max Aarons was the man fouled. So we've had just over 11 and a half minutes, and it's 0-0 between the two sides. And Paul, it's going the way as we would have thought, but the only surprise is that City haven't scored yet.
Yeah, they're getting a lot of space on that left-hand side of Manchester City as well. Gundogan there, getting the ball in the box. He's a very strong midfielder. He's had a number of assists this season, and Sterling has been given a lot of space on that left-hand side as well. Norwich need to plug that area up, or they're going to get caught out.
Absolutely. And this broadcast, of course, been brought to you as it's due out for every broadcast this season on the TC Hub by the Melon Streaming app. Check out the website at melonstreamingapp.com or melon.com even. Anyway, we've had nearly 13 minutes, and a foul has been given against one of the Norwich players. That was Pierre Lise Melieu of France. Frenchman hasn't played any senior football for the French national team, obviously. There's a massive pool of top quality players looking to get into the French side. Lise Melieu is definitely not one of those on paper you would think would get into that side on current form anyway. Foden and Gundogan and a two-man committee for this free kick on the far side. It was a foul committed by Lise Melieu. Short here to Zinchenko, who chips the ball out towards Mahrez. Mahrez with a first timer back in there, and Norwich again just struggling to clear their lines again. Bernardo now trying to get a curling cross in there, and it misses everybody at the far left-hand post. The ball goes into touch behind Angus Gunn's goal, and it's a goal kick to Norwich, but yet another scare for Norwich. But alas, City just can't take advantage. Still 0-0. We're coming up to about 13 minutes and 20 seconds gone. Paul.
Yeah, it's again, it's not hard to determine who's the top team and who's the bottom team. It's, to be honest with you, City are carving open Norwich's defence. It is only going to be a matter of time. The possession that they're keeping as well. Norwich are getting little chances, but they're not. They only looks one team in it at the moment.
I suspect, though, Paul, that against Smith's game, Paul will try and well, obviously you can't really attack Manchester City. You can't really play them at their own game because they'll pick you off one by one. But I suspect the tactic will have been from Dean Smith, and what they've been working on in training during the week is let's try and frustrate Manchester City as much as we can, and maybe do them on a set piece or do them on a breakaway or something. That you'd think would be the plan.
Yeah, I would expect that to be the plan. But at the moment, they're being picked off on both sides, and in the middle as well. Defensively, they're not being great. So I think if similar to the way Burnley play, they can frustrate teams. But City are very disciplined.
Yes, and there's good news for English football, by the way. There's been a goal in the game between Chelsea and Palmeiras, the World Club Championships. They're 55 minutes in, and Romelu Lukaku has scored a crucial goal. Chelsea 1, Palmeiras 0 in the World Club Final. So Chelsea, if they hold on there and take that victory and hold on and take the victory, they'll be World Club Champions. Well, and that will make Mr. Abramovich a very pleased boy. And that's something that Pep Guardiola would love to achieve. First of all, he would want his team to win the European Cup first. That's the holy grail for Manchester City. It has been for the last dozen years or so since they managed to get into the competition. But at the moment, in league terms, they've never had a problem. Won the title numerous times since they won that famous day in 2012 when they scored that last Gasca Guerrero goal, and we'll never forget that. It's still etched in my memory. And I wasn't a Manchester City fan, but I was willing him to win that day, just to see the smile on Sir Alex Ferguson's face wiped off in an instant was, on Wayne Rooney's for that matter, was a sight to behold. But the scenes at the Etihad that day will live long in the memory. They've won numerous titles since then, City, but nothing can ever beat that 2012 ending. That's for sure. Though 89 is pretty up there, is pretty much up there. In fact, I still think that's a better finish, considering it was the top two then. And the fact that it was on terrestrial TV, ball played into the penalty area, but Norwich got it away. And this is a good run up towards halfway, and that's a foul on halfway. Mr. Marino will give that against Ruben Diaz. And the first yellow card of the game is shown to the Manchester City centre-back. And this is what happened. The ball came here to number 17, and it was Rashica. He must have run something like 30 yards, 40, maybe 50 yards, and has brought Norwich, what you would call in rugby union in circles, quite a bit of much-needed territory.
Oh, it was an inspired run. And it was a cynical foul, and he deserves to go into the book, but that was an inspired run.
Well, that will suit Norwich City now, knowing that one of Manchester City's centre-backs is on a caution now, because what that will do for Norwich. Oh, that's given away to Timo Pukki. He's out on the right-hand side, however, and Ake is quite happy enough to concede the corner. Now, this is where Norwich really need to strike while the iron is well and truly hot. They've hung in there at 0-0 for the first 17 minutes of this game. And this is what Dean Smith will have been working on, or been at pains to have been working on in training. One corner each, incidentally, if you're keeping count, if you're a stat man, keeping score with the corners. Anyway, here comes the corner, far side, in it goes towards the area. Header one, and it was headed towards the corner flag, but Pukki has kept that in. Ball back in there once more. Tossed in there by Sargent. Header one, and I think that hit the post. And even that, a save from Edison. It was Hanley's header. He must have been around the penalty spot, or just to the right of the penalty spot as he headed it. Ben Gibson was also in there too. And Paul, that was what we were talking about. From set plays or from crosses into the box, Norwich City had the chance and just couldn't take it. I'm not certain whether that was a save. I think that might have hit the bottom of the right-hand post. But this was a chance, and Norwich just didn't take it. It was Hanley's header, and it hits the post. How unlucky is that?
Yeah, that's very unfortunate. A good opportunity. He's got the header up there. The City defenders are not close enough to him. But that is an excellent header. And what a chance for Norwich to take the lead against the run of play.
Yeah, it would have been against the run of play. There's not a doubt about it. But they're in possession still. Given their fair dues, they're having a go here. And they're trying to work something here from the right-hand side, but there's 3 City defenders against 1 in Canary Yellow, and that was always going to be the case when there's 3-on-1 against you. It's always the 3, 99 times out of 100 that come out on top. And, all that little momentum that Norwich had for those 2 or 3 minutes has evaporated, just for the time being at least. Here's Ben Gibson now, looking to hit the ball long down the left-hand side. Takes another touch, hits it long, over the halfway line, looking towards Timo Pukki. Well, I think it was Sargent rather who flicked that on, and Pukki couldn't be found. And then Fernandinho goes over. No foul there. The referee's quite happy to play on. Rashica now towards the edge of the area. I think he tried to do too much. There's a little bit of a tango of legs on the edge of the penalty area. And then the ball's played forward. It gets a slight deflection. I think Norwich will shield this one, and they'll get another corner. Billy Gilmore doing some good defensive work there. And Norwich now starting to, the last couple of minutes or so, just to turn up the power. In fact, the flag has got up for an offside decision. And, well, we thought it was a corner, Paul. It's a goal kick. But a good 3-4 minutes for Norwich there, just making Pep think a little bit now. Still 0-0, nearly 20 minutes gone on the TC Hub.
I like the fact that they're having a go. I think City's defence has not really been tested at all this season. They're almost at the bottom of all the categories for defence except clean sheets and goals. So I think it's really incumbent upon opposition teams to try to put City under pressure.
Absolutely, and here comes Manchester City now. Remember, 5 changes, 2 changes for Norwich, 5 for City. Remember, Chelsea are winning in that World Cup match. Romelu Lukaku, after 55 minutes in Qatar, looks as if, at the moment as things stand, Chelsea may go away with anything. Go away with the World Cup Championship for the first time. The European champions. Here comes City inside the area, and then it's just booted out of play quite nonchalantly for a corner kick, and it was Max Aarons who got back and just hoofed it into the stand behind Angus Gunn's goal away to my right-hand side. And now, all of a sudden, it's changed. It's a bit like swings and roundabouts now, Paul. Norwich attack now Manchester City attack. They have a corner.
And I think this is starting. I'm not saying the pendulum's turning, but it's Norwich are trying to get themselves into the game here.
I think they have got themselves into the game, Paul. I'll go as far as to say that. But with 21 minutes gone, still no score. There's referee's not happy about something. He's going across to the corner quadrant, and I think he's just telling Gundogan, just make sure that ball's on the quadrant. Some corner takers, including Burnley's very own Ashley Westwood, do take it to the extremes of getting it right on the edge of the quadrant. He was just checking the ball into the penalty area. The corner came into the penalty area. No, he's got it away okay. There might have been a bit of pushing and shoving, so they claim, but the referee didn't seem to want to know. Fernandinho now has it midway inside the Norwich half. Chipped it into the penalty area. Looking for Phil Foden, number 47. He's one of the top scorers incidentally. In fact, he's got 5 goals this season. Gundogan has 4. The top scorers for Manchester City, and there's about 4 of them. But I'll break off for a second because Norwich are on the attack here with Rashica. And Rashica now breaking forward, looking to get Pookie in behind, but the through ball is cut out, the ball out for a throw-in. But this shows how the goals have been shared, really, Paul. De Bruyne, Mahrez, Sterling and Silva have 7 goals apiece. That's Bernardo Silva, that is. 7 goals apiece. So it just shows that City are sharing the goals out, really, between each other this season. And as I said, we talking to me off air, and they have the high. You said they had the highest stats in terms of possession. It's hardly a real surprise, but it's nice to see them sharing the goals out this season.
Oh, they've got goal scorers all over the field, and there's very few teams in Europe, let alone in England, that have the capability to do that. They've got talent all over the park, and I can't understand why they haven't yet won a European Cup. Maybe it's just that psychological barrier of getting that first one out there, because obviously it took Chelsea a long time, took them till 2012, 8 years into the Abramovich tenure to win it, because they were trying to put all their eggs into the European bracket. Taking Manchester City a little bit longer than that with the shakes and everything, but they've still got the right man in charge. I think Pep Guardiola is still a class act. I don't think anyone can dispute that. The amount of titles he's won at Barcelona and Bayern Munich, and of course here at Manchester City since he took over in 2016, has been unprecedented. 23 and a half minutes gone. We're past the halfway stage. And I must admit, at this stage, I didn't expect Norwich to still have a clean sheet at this stage. But they've surprised us all, and they've had a couple of chances. Both teams have hit the woodwork. Bernardo hit the woodwork at one end, and Hanley with a header from across from the left-hand side from an original corner, hitting the right-hand post at the other. Zinchenko now to Sterling. Far side now, back in field to Fernandinho. You're live on you're listening to the live coverage of the TC Hub, live here from Carrow Road. Here's Sterling. Sterling's cross takes a little deflection. Hanley doesn't leave it to Angus Gunn, and in fact, Hanley gives it a big boot. Now, if this leads to a goal, there will be an inquest in the Norwich defence, but they go backwards, and Ruben Dias will get it back to Ederson. So, 24 minutes gone. And just to remind you that we will have a player of the match award to choose. And the good thing about it being a duo commentary, I don't have the casting vote. I'm glad my colleague alongside me, Paul, has that casting vote. And
I know it's a bit early, but we'll try and get Paul to get his thinking cap on after half time, potentially. Anyway, here's Sinchenko. The referee's playing on. The shot comes in, and another great save, I think, there by Angus Gunn. Put out the right foot and got it out. And Norwich now come away with possession. We'll get Paul's views on that save from Gunn in a second or two. Paul's hoisted out to play or sliced out to play. And it's a throw in to Manchester City. 25 gone. Paul, what a save from Angus Gunn.
Yeah, the build-up play was excellent as well. It was right across. The defence wasn't there, but what a good kick save there. That was very, very important. He got down low, made an excellent, smart save. And really, Sterling is there on his own. He has to do better.
Yeah, that was almost Nick Pope-esque, that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but Angus Gunn, of course, the son, of course, of Brian Gunn, the former Norwich City goalkeeper of many years ago. I think we're old enough, Paul, to remember Brian Gunn, of course. But yeah, terrific goalkeeper. Scottish, of course, as Angus is.
It's always back up to Jim Leighton. I could never understand why.
Well, Jim Leighton was a better goalkeeper. I don't think there's any doubt about that. So was Goring in those days. Max Aaron's, meanwhile, while we were talking about Scottish goalkeepers, has had to go off. And it's been a goal. It's bad news for Chelsea fans. Lemonese have just equalised from a penalty scored by Belga, 64 minutes. So the World Cup final is at 1-1 at the moment. But we'll keep you in touch with any developments in Qatar as soon as we get it. That's the World Cup Championship final, not the actual World Cup, which takes place in November, December time in Qatar, which England have qualified, and possibly one of Scotland or Wales will be there because they have to play each other in a playoff in order to get there. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting March with regards to that. England have actually got Maxwell Cornet and the Ivory Coast coming to Wembley in March as well. So plenty of good international football coming up in the next month or so. And, of course, the FA Cup fifth round as well. We've got the Carabao final in just over 2 weeks' time between Chelsea and Liverpool. That will be live from Wembley. And then the FA Cup fifth round, of course, Premier League, Champions League will be back this month. This is where I think this is the time of the season, really, Paul, where the season really starts to hot up a bit in terms of the business end when the Champions League returns and the league starts to take shape a little bit. Although it's still a bit lopsided because Burnley have still got about 6 games, still got about 4 or 5 games in hand on the rest of them.
Yeah, there's a fixture congestion around at this time when you've got Champions League, you've got FA Cup, you've got Premier League. It will give Jurgen Klopp something else to complain about. But I think he needs to realise that if he wants his team to be successful and he wants to be in the best competitions, then he's going to have to play all the fixtures that go along with it. Yeah,
well, he's had a good run in the Cup. Meanwhile, here's Gundogan from Manchester City, who got through themselves with a comfortable win last week against Fulham. Won again today. Mitrovic scoring his 31st league goal of the season. I want to give Barry's team a bit of a. Yeah, it kills me to say because I'm not a big fan of. I'm not a fan of the way they tried to cheat us out of the Premier League last season. But having said all that, they are a good side. Mitrovic again, 31st Championship goal of the season, and he could well break the record next game for Fulham. Looks like they're going back to the Premier League at the first attempt, and you've got to say well deserved. It kills me to say it because I'm not really I'm not Fulham's greatest fan in terms of the way they played the game the last time they were in the Premier League. Here's Pukki for Norwich. They've got another corner, and he does so well, Pukki, just to win free kicks and corners just like that. He's just an absolute go-getter, even in a lost causes ball.
Yeah, he's not just a sniper in the box. He works as well, and creates his own chances sometimes. And that opportunity, in that case, he created a corner. If Norwich go down, he will be sought after.
He will be sought after, but we'll just have to see. Here comes the corner of Norwich City, far side, and it went. But all the big men were up there. The types of Hanley and Gibson, all forward from the back, but still. Norwich City have it far side. They need a crossing there from the right-hand side, I fancy. They've got a man here on the far side. Cross back, and it was a poor cross for Josh Sargent. It needed to be better. It went behind everybody and City getting away. But Norwich have won it back. And it's Ben Gibson now on the ball. Gets it out to the far side. Still 0-0 here, amazingly. 29 minutes gone. And we were all saying before the start it was going to be a landslide victory. You said 3-0. I don't make predictions. But are you a bit more worried about your prediction as you were, as we have hit half an hour, as you were half an hour ago now? We've had half an hour of the game. Still 0-0. Paul, are you nervous now about the prediction you made?
Not really, but Norwich have played so well. I have to give them that.
Here's Sterling now at the other end. Sterling now with the shot, and it's in. Oh, just as soon as I say that, Raheem Sterling has come up with a beauty. Shot from the left-hand side of the penalty box. It went past Angus Gunn like a flash and hit the right-hand corner of the net. And the champions and the holders of the Premier League and possible champions elected, the way things are going at the moment for them, are in front with just shy of 31 minutes gone. And you've got to say, Paul, it was a goal of pure genius.
Oh, it was a class goal. Absolutely. Look at the strike here. He's inside the penalty area, just curls it away to Gunn's left-hand post. It's unfortunate for Norwich because they were enjoying their best period of the match. But this was absolutely a superb goal. Goal of the month candidate.
Well, I think it might have took a slight deflection of Max Aarons as well on the way through, potentially. But even so, it was a great effort. And Raheem Sterling, it was just inside the penalty area as he struck it, in fact, right-footed. Well, I think the deflection may have just took it past Gunn's grasp. But it's a shame, really, from Norwich's point of view. Talking specifically as JB, the commentator, not JB, the Burnley fan. But from a Burnley fan's point of view, it's good news. But if you're... But we have to be very impartial here on this channel, and it is tough luck on Norwich when you think about it, because they did have several good opportunities. Hanley hitting the post, Pukki's gone close a couple of times, and well, if you don't take your chances, Paul, ultimately you get punished.
Yeah, you do. That's right. That's very true. But Norwich have enjoyed their best period of the match. It's a shame for them, but they're not giving up. They're still coming forward.
Well, Pukki's onside. Well, he's broken the offside trap for as long as he can. Here's the ball played in, edge of the area, shot, and it's wide. And what an opportunity for Lys Mellier to strike. Or was it Kenny McLean, in fact, to strike it left-footed. But he stuck it well wide to Scott. And Norwich, if they keep missing chances like that, well, that could come back. He's really, he didn't really think about it. Went for the first time strike, and in the end, Paul absolutely made a dog's dinner of it. Nearly went near the corner, more near the corner flank than the goal in the end. Still 1-0 City.
You got to hit the target from there. He wasn't really under any pressure. You've got to hit the target from there. That's a poor effort.
Well, some may argue he could have took an extra couple of touches and still had time to strike the ball and steady himself, but he felt confident enough to strike it, but the execution obviously wasn't there. 33 gone on the TC Hub, JB Sports, J-DAC Football, Storm FM and TC Hub 2. We're also on Twitch. Here comes the cross. 1-0, it is to City. Bernardo Silva in the area. Mara shoots, hits it straight at Gunn, right-footed, and the ball hooked into touch by a Norwich player for a corner. But Angus Gunn at the moment, Paul, really keeping Norwich in the game. Still 1-0 to Manchester City.
Yeah, smart reaction save. Again, though, Mahrez has to do better there, I think.
Although the angle was tight, Foden, I don't know what that was all about. He nearly turned into a good cross, in fact, for Kyle. I think it was Kyle Walker on the far side there, but Foden mishit a shot. In fact, it was Ruben Diaz who got on the end of it, I beg your pardon. But yeah, I thought that was going for the corner. I thought that was going to the corner flank there, but it turned out to be a normal, so half chance for Ruben Diaz there. Still 1-0 anyway.
That was it. They've had chances at City as well. They've got to take their chances. We saw on Tuesday night with Burnley and Manchester City that one goal lead sometimes isn't enough.
Yeah, I suppose. Well, Manchester United as well. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they had three in our net in the first half, and in fact they could have been 4-0 up, as I decreed on Facebook the other day. And then obviously Burnley. I don't know what they put in the half-time cup of tea. Bit of testosterone. I think that's what Dean Smith might need to do if it's 1-0 at the break. Put a bit of testosterone in their lungs. Anyway, 3-kick to Manchester City. as that is floated in. It's headed behind for another City corner by Grant Hanley, who hit the post earlier for Norwich. And now Manchester City, being the professional side they are a merciless team, as we've seen so many times throughout the last few years. They like to put teams under an awful lot of pressure and score at well. They're doing so here tonight. Well, not scoring at well, but they're in front anyway. Mahrez goes short from the corner. Here's Foden. Foden back to Zinchenko. Will he line up a shot? No, he chips it in towards Gundogan, who peeled away to the right-hand side of the 6-yard box. It's another corner now for Norwich, and now it's beginning to be one-way traffic now with 10 minutes of the first half left.
Yeah,
Mahrez will take.
Sorry, JD. You go ahead.
I'll get back to you in a second. Mahrez, I thought, was going to take a short corner, just threw me a bit, so it's going to be a long corner then. And Mahrez then left-footed into the mixer once again, headed away by Norwich. We'll bring Paul now in with the scoreline still 1-0, and the Norwich goal from that corner anyway, duly untroubled.
Yeah, sorry about that, JB. The first goal, I think, is kind of giving them some confidence now to move forward some more, and they look like they're going to build on this lead. But you know what? Norwich are not out of it. Still only 1-0.
Yes, at 1-0, anything can still happen. It's his football. That's why we still call it a funny old game in this day and age, as a certain Jimmy Greaves once said. Ball played in towards the far side, and I think Zinchenko did a very good job to even try to reach that. It went out of play in the end, whizzed out of play for a goal kick, but credit to Zinchenko for even trying to have the audacity to try and keep that in by the byline. Just to run through the benches, incidentally, Norwich have McGubbin, Sam Byron, Zinnerman, Powell, Paletta, Norman, who's got 1 goal to his credit this season, Sozolis, Gianlukas, and Rowe. And Manchester City's bench, well, full of stars, full of strength as well, massive in depth. Just shows you the golfing class between the two sides, really. Carson, the goalkeeper, John Stones, Loeric Laporte, Rodri, De Bruyne. That's going to go to Edison. Still 1-0. City have possession. Chancelo, Kayeki, Delap, and McT. So, when you look at the two benches, Paul, there is a massive golfing class, even when you look at the substitutes that either side could actually bring on later in the piece.
Oh, it's insane. You take off someone like Fernando, you think you've got rid of a world-class player, and on comes Kevin De Bruyne. And
Kevin De Bruyne, spared by Chelsea many years ago. I wonder if that was one of the biggest mistakes Chelsea ever had done. Yeah, well, it turned out to be so now, because Chelsea's loss was Manchester City's gain. Still 1-1 in the World Cup final, incidentally, if you're wondering if we haven't brought you any updates. It's still 1-0. Looks like extra time in that one. 6th Manchester City corner now. And that is supported by Oracle Cloud, the official stats partner of the Premier League. So 8 minutes almost gone. Corner comes in towards the 6-yard box. Foden takes it now, 10 yards outside the area. Zinchenko to measure across into the penalty area. Bernardo has peeled away. Mahrez now chips it in towards the back post, but the flag has gone up, in fact, for an offside decision. And a free kick to Norwich City, which in their minds, Paul, now at this stage, after all that little bit of, after 5 or 10 minutes of City pressure, that could just be a little bit of respite. What they actually need right now, as we just see that goal again from Raheem Sterling. Yeah, just might have got a deflection off back Sarans as it crept into that right corner.
Yeah, I mean, if they'll be looking at wanting to get in at half-time with the 1 goal only conceded, and then they can sit down and discuss possible ways to get back into this game.
Well, first of all, they've got to negotiate the next 6 minutes plus injury time and not have any more damage inflicted on them. 1 goal already between the sides as we head towards the 39th minute of this football match. And it's Fernandinho now chipping that in. And look at the run there of Ruben Diaz towards the area. And then the ball chipped back. And, right on the line, it's been headed over. Quite Gundogan was in there and just couldn't keep his head down. He was about 3 yards out, to be fair to him. And it would have took an awful lot to loop a header in from 3 yards out. It was easier to miss than to score. And I think the flag might have been up anyway against Kyle Walker, in fact, who made a terrific run down the right.
Yeah, he has to wait for that to kind of drop to have any chance of scoring that goal. It was very similar to the chance that Nick Pope made an excellent save for in the Burnley versus Manchester United game. He has to wait for it to drop before he has any chance of putting that in.
And Russ tried to correct me as usual, as he does every show. He says Max Aarons, but I'm going to stick with Max Aarons. It's what I'm used to. I can't get into that rhythm. I'm going to say Max Aarons. A lot of commentators say Aarons. Some say Aarons. I'm in the Aarons camp. So I'm going to stick with that pronunciation. It's almost like the Bobby Reid thing. Is it Bobby Reid or Decacova Reid? Who knows? Anyway, ball played into Mahrez, into the penalty area goes. And Mahrez turns back. And Zinchenko keeps possession. There's only one way you can pronounce Zinchenko, by the way. Here he is now on the ball. 5 minutes to half time, incidentally, on all TCR platforms, including JB Sports, J-DAC Football, who signed a new contract with the TCR to provide commentaries. As the ball is played headed away there by Ben Gibson. We're also on Storm FM, and we're also on TCR2, Rush's own channel, and we're also on Twitch, by the way. And a big shout out to all our Twitch listeners this evening on the TCR. But don't forget to give us a comment. Keep your comments clean. We're still a family show, and I'll say that every single time I do presented and commentated for TCR. Nice to be back in the presenter's chair last week at Nottingham Forest, where Trevor and CW brought you a terrific 4-1 win for Forest in the Cup. They drew 2-2, incidentally, with 10 men against Stoke City in the Championship this afternoon. There you go. Oh, Max! Apparently, our producer has just said he prefers it that way. Believe me, there are still some commentators out there that say Aarons. There is a few people say that. The other player that I can think of, the only other player I can think of that commentators were pronouncing their name wrong, and I think there was a couple, but I'll come back to that in a second because we've got Manchester City on the ball here with Kyle Walker, and it's they're just passing it around at a very leisurely pace here. But here's Mahrez now, a little bit of trickery now. Got his running boots on a little bit there. It was just basically it was almost like watching walking football played by over 50s, the way that City are just slowly building it up at the moment. Here's Raheem Sterling. He's still got a lot of pace to burn. Here's Foden inside the area. What a player he's been this season for Manchester City. A lot was expected of him, and he hasn't let Manchester City down in the 2 or 3 years he's been in that team since coming through the ranks. Nice to see Pep actually giving youngsters a chance at the Etihad Stadium as well. And the likes of Cole Palmer will be breaking through as well. He's had a few games, and he's proven to be a good player as well. Headed behind for a corner from Mahrez is crossed by Gibson. And we've got about, I'd say about 2.5 minutes plus injury time at the end of the first half. We'll come back to that little debate in a few moments when we see this quarter out of other players that have had to try and put commentators right about pronunciation. I've got a couple that spring to mind. Here's Foden now. Foden shot into the crowd. Goal kick to Norwich. Going back to the pronunciation thing, the 2 players I can remember, one was Jermaine Genius. A lot of people, when he broke into that Forest team at 17, used to say Genus. Yeah. And then it was Jermaine Genius. And the other one, Barry Davis's fault for this one. Everybody said Solskjaer, but he always used to say, Barry Davis, Solskjaer. But everyone said Solskjaer. Do you remember that?
Yeah, and I remember in the World Cup listening to Don Howe co-commentate in the 1994 World Cup called Florin Radachoyu, Florin Radachui.
What? Florin Radachui?
Yeah, that's what they could. Don Howe, that was Don Howe.
Don Howe, an experienced coach of his generation at Arsenal, the man who coached the double winning side of 1971, said that. My word, that is well, you know what? When I've been doing these commentaries, you learn something new every day. That is something I have learned tonight, and I'm not going to stop laughing at that little story. Now, meanwhile, City have won a free kick. We're in the last minute of the first half, incidentally, while me and Paul were having a bit of a laugh about Don Howe. Max Aarons, to give him his proper pronunciation. Well, I'll try and say Aarons, but it's very hard to kick an habit of a lifetime. He's pushed down Raheem Sterling, and a free kick to City in a dangerous position. Not really much doubt about it, although Aarons was complaining a bit to Mr. Mariner.
Yeah, it's no reason to complain. That was a blatant foul.
You know what? That's gonna if this channel were doing clips of the week, if we had Hawksby and Jacobs, that would be in clips of the week. Don Howe thing, that really would. It would be in clips of the week. But unfortunately we don't have Hawksby and Jacobs on the channel, so we're okay. Free kick now to Manchester City, and it goes towards the penalty area, but it's taken under no great pressure by Angus Gunn. And let's have just a word or two about the goalkeeper for Norwich. He's had, despite being beaten by just the once, I think he's had a fantastic game in goal so far. Wouldn't you agree, Paul?
Absolutely. He's played very, very well. He's made a few very important saves to keep Norwich in the game. I've always rated him as a good goalkeeper. He's number 2 only because Tim Krul is normally number 1. He's a very good goalkeeper, and he's played very well in this game.
Yes, and following in his father's footsteps as well. We're into 20 seconds of one added at the end of the first half. Here's Raduca now for Norwich, who have really given a good account of themselves without hitting the back of the City net. But I think there'll be aspects of that performance that Dean Smith will be quite pleased about, and will encourage his team to do a bit more of the same going forward in the second half. At 1-0, it's still anyone's race, as Brandon Williams looked as if he was being fouled, but the referee said no, told Brandon Williams to get up. 15 seconds of the 1 minute left. And I think, to be fair, we were all expecting it to be one way. That's given away. And here's a chance now. Last chance here. Foden now running towards the area. Defenders are backing him off, and it's still Foden towards the area. And now Sterling takes over. Good challenge inside that area. Now the whistle does go. And Paul, what a first half. Norwich trailing by 1 goal, but what a first half it has been. And I have to say, Paul, we were also expecting Manchester City as though Norwich are complaining about a decision that didn't go their way, and Andre Mariner just telling him just to put a sock in it. But what a competitive first half we've had. And it was all, we were saying in the build-up that Manchester City were going to walk away with it. Well, they haven't had things all their own way, despite the fact they're leading 1-0 at the break, Paul.
No, I think Norwich has played very well. I think they've really, they could have been behind by more, really. But I think they've worked hard, they've created chances. They've had parts of the game where they've looked actually quite comfortable. But in the end, they're going in 1-0 down. City have thrown the kitchen sink at them, but it's still only 1-0. This game is still on.
All right, no problem. Thank you very much, and we'll hear from you at half-time with Russ. That's it for me for half-time. I'm off now to pronounce Max Aarons as Aarons, and whilst I'm doing that, let me hand back to Russ, who's going to round up all the action from earlier today up for you now and all the results. Back to you, Russ, with the scoreline at half-time of Norwich City 0, Manchester City 1.
Thank you very much there, JB, and to Paul. James as well will be back with JB and Paul very, very shortly. Indeed, we'll keep you up to date with what else has happened today in the world of football so far, and go through some of the results and some latest scores as well for you. We're just going to take a quick break, and when I return in a couple of minutes, you'll get some latest scores. Welcome back to the coverage of Norwich City against Manchester City. We'll get back to Paul James for his first half thoughts on the action today. Let's go through some of the scores for you in some of the matches taking place or took place earlier today in the Premier League. Manchester United won Southampton. We will have delayed coverage of that with Jack Edson later on. Either later on tonight or tomorrow at some point. Brentford 0, Crystal Palace 0. Everton 3, Leeds United 0. Watford 0, Brighton 2. In the Championship, Huddersfield 0, Sheffield United 0, Barnsley 1, QPR 0, Birmingham 3, Luton 0, Blackpool 1, Bournemouth 2, Hull 0, Fulham 1, Middlesbrough 4, Derby 1, Millwall 2, Cardiff 1, Nottingham Forest 2, Stoke City 2, Preston 0, Peterborough 0, Preston 1 should I say, sorry about that, and Reading 2, Coventry City 3. In League 1, Accrington 4, Crewe 1, FC Wimbledon 1, Sunderland 1, Burton 2, Cambridge 2, Cheltenham 2, Fleetwood 0, Lincoln 1, Wickham 1, MK Dons 0, Ipswich Town 0, Morecambe 1, Gillingham 1, Oxford 2, Bolton 3 is the score in that game as well. For you, Plymouth 1, Shrewsbury 0, should I say. Portsmouth hammered Doncaster by 4 goals to 0. Wigan 2, Charlton 1. In League 2, according to the game here, I think might be able to tell me if Mark is still listening. He's into stoppage time. I can tell you, between Barrow and Stevenage, in the 97th minute, is Barrow 0, Stevenage 0. Stevenage just had a player sent off and a player booked in the 7th minute of stoppage time there, so that's still ongoing. Bradford 0, Exeter 1, Bristol Rovers 0, Mansfield 0, Colchester 2, Carlisle 2, Crawley 0, Oxford 1, Leighton Orient 0, Salford 2, Newport 3, Oldham 3, Port Vale 0, Northampton 0, Rochdale 3, Harrogate 3, Sutton 1, Forest Green 1, Swindon 3, Scunthorpe 0, and also 1, Tranmere 0 in League 2. Do the National League a little bit later on, and the rest of the results a bit later on. In the Club World Cup, FIFA Club World Cup, third place playoff earlier, finished Hilal 0, Al Ahly 4 in the third place playoff. In the fifth place playoff, which was played yesterday, I can tell you, well, on the 9th, I can tell you it finished Montreal 3, Al Jazeera 1, and the Chelsea Palermo's game in the final, currently 1-1, that is about to go into extra time there as well. Chelsea naming a strong side for that, including the likes of Lukaku, the goal scorer who's been substituted, Havertz, Mount, Hudson-Odoi, Kovacic, Conte, Azpilicueta, Christensen, Silva, Rudiger, and Mendy, all in the starting lineup for Chelsea, with the likes of Oscar Salniguez, Christian Pulisic, and Timo Werner are the ones who have come on. Jorginho also on the bench, so too Ross Barkley and Kepa Arrizabalaga, Alonso, Ziyech also on the bench there. 1-1 is the score. I will bring you updates during the second half. Let's get our attentions back to the game we're covering this evening, and let's get back across to the second part of your commentary team, which we'll go to in a second. And we'll fetch back in your co-commentator, at half time, which is Paul James. And we'll just touch on that first half. And then Paul obviously said 3-0 to Manchester City. I thought it was going to be a full time when he asked you just before the kickoff started. What have you thought of that first half? And has your prediction changed with how Norwich have played in that first half for you at this moment in time, Paul?
Well, I was very impressed with Norwich in the first half. Um, on paper, the two teams are worlds apart. But Norwich has created some chances. They've worked very hard in the first half. But the chances are still being created by Manchester City. They are still creating opportunities which they've not yet taken. The game is still in the balance at 1-0. City have thrown a lot at Norwich in that first half, and it's still 1-0. I'm going to stick with my prediction because I don't believe in changing. I, I will admit when I am wrong. So we'll see how that goes. Well, how that goes. So my prediction's not changing, but Norwich is still in this game. So we'll see what happens.
Yes, and obviously you just mentioned there Norwich is still in the game, Paul. What have you made to their play today? Why do you think Norwich is still in it? Is it because of how resilient they've been defensively and how well they've dug in? And how long do you think they can keep this up for in the second half?
Well, I mean, City are going to eventually start taking these chances. They're a quality team. I think Norwich have worked hard, but I think they have made defensive errors. I think there's been a couple of chances for City where the defense has been quite lax. I mean, it could have been 3-0 at half time as it is, but it isn't. I think if Norwich should get back into this game, they had a period of play in the first half for about 10 minutes before the goal where they attacked Manchester City. And I think they've got to try to press Manchester City and put their defence under a little bit of pressure. I think they have to do that if they want to get back into the game and have any sort of chance of an upset.
Yes, that's the thoughts of Paul. James will be back with Paul and with JB soon as the teams emerge from the tunnel ready in plenty enough time for the second half. We'll be handing back across to them very, very soon. Should be a good game. We'll keep you across. Out Chelsea getting on against Palermo in the Club World Cup. Finally, I can bring you that result from League Two, which I mentioned, which was an ongoing game. Finished Barrow 0, Stevenage 0. Amade Holloway sent off for Barrow, and then right at the death, as Mike says here, Luke Prosser sent off for Stevenage with a second bookable offence. Was booked in the 65th minute, booked right to the death, and got sent off. That finished 0-0. And that rounds up all of the League Two results. We'll bring you the National League results and any other results you want to, and then we'll bring you results from the National League, League R, Bundesliga, Serie A, and the Scottish Cup and Scottish Championship at the end of our featured match this evening. The players will be getting ready to come back out any second now. At Carrow Road will be handing back across to your commentary team of Paul James alongside JB in a few moments. Once we get any indication that the teams are back out, we'll hand back across to JB. We'll be handing back across to him as soon as we get that any indication as to why we'll get back. Just a bit of news from the National League. We'll bring you the result of their game later. But in the second half of Chesterfield's game away at Weymouth today in the National League, striker Kapongo Chishimangu was a brilliant performance against Chelsea in the FA Cup a few weeks ago. We'll head back across to JB and Paul in a second. He was stretchered off with what will have to be a serious injury. Chesterfield have posted an update about 20 minutes or so ago, and they say Chishimangu is currently in hospital where he's being looked at by the brilliant NHS staff. Unfortunately, they're unable to provide any more information, but want to let them know that he's in. Let the fans and people know that he's in safe hands, so speedy recovery to Kabongo Tishimanga. As players are now back out at Carrow, ready for the second half. It's time for me to hand back over to your match commentary team of Paul James. And first, JB.
Thanks, Russ. Welcome back, everybody, to Carrow Road. No changes as far as I can say from both sides. And yeah, I feel, well, any Stevenage fans, well, I feel your pain. 5.5 hour, 500-mile journey up to Barrow and no goals to show for it. Plus a big wait before kickoff. I feel your pain. Anyway, we're back underway in this second half. No changes from either side. It's Manchester City winning for a goal scored by Raheem Sterling halfway through the first half. A deflected left-footed effort that went into the right-hand corner. And, well, we saw a very competitive first half. Both teams hit the woodwork. Bernardo hit the woodwork for Manchester City, hit the left-hand post in the first half. And then Grant Hanley at the other end, hitting the right-hand post for Norwich City. So Norwich not out of this game by any stretch of the imagination. Here's Nathan Ake on the ball. Not really had to say his name too much tonight. Ball knocking forward and the ball knocked out now. James Sargent, the American, again, he's been a little bit anonymous in his second half. Here's Fernandinho back to Ruben Dias. He's the only player out of the 22 that has started that has got a booking to his name. Unless I've missed anyone out there. Just to remind you of the all-time Premier League record between these sides. This is the 20th game tonight, but 19 previous games. Norwich City have only won 3 out of the 19. Manchester City have won 10 of those games, on course to make it 11 at the moment if it stays this way, and 6 draws. Well, Paul, we're back underway then, with about a minute and a quarter gone in the second half. What are you expecting as a contest in the second half, with Norwich still very much in it at 1-0 down?
Well, I'd like to see Norwich press forward a little bit. I'd like to see them press forward and try to test this Manchester City defence. I think that they're going to need to do that if they want to get back into this game, because I think it's only going to be a question of time otherwise before City grab another.
Yep, and unfortunately, Max Aarons, I think that's the way you pronounce it now, has not kept that in. Just to remind you of other results, we'll come to those earlier. There were 4 other games played today. I've got the results of all 4 of them. Chelsea has gone into that Chelsea final in the World Cup Championship. That's gone into extra time. We will keep you abreast. Rangers are 3-up against Annan Athletic in the Scottish Cup, by the way. So it looks as if Van Bronckhorst's men are going to be safely through, barring accidents, to the next round of the Scottish Cup. Of course, Aberdeen were knocked out by Motherwell earlier today at Fir Park. Ball played in around the corner to Gundogan on the left-hand side. Ball back across, and it's at the second one. No, it isn't. Foden tries again. It's kicked off the line, and the referee has given the goal. It's crossed the line. Goal line to Norwich has given it. And Norwich City go 2 goals in front. It's Phil Foden poking in from close range, despite the best efforts on the line from Captain Grant Hanley. And City have got that welcome cushion of a second goal. We played nearly 3 minutes of the second half here on all TCM platforms. And it's 2-0 now to Manchester City here on the TCM. And, well, Paul, it's conclusive. It was over the line. 2-0 Manchester City.
Yeah, it was definitely over the line. It was a desperate attempt to get a clearance on the ball by Hanley, but it wasn't enough. It's 2-0, and it's a mountain to climb for Norwich now.
It's a massive mountain to climb. It just crosses the line. But, of course, Hawkeye, very, very accurate. Well, 99 times out of 100. Ask Aston Villa, who stayed up for a dodgy bit of Hawkeye at Villa Park one year. In fact, sent Norwich down, I think. Well, I think it might have sent another team down. I don't think it was Norwich per se. They finished bottom of the table. I think it might have been another team they sent down. I can't remember who it was, but they stayed up on a dodgy bit of Hawkeye because they stayed up on goal difference when it was Project Restart in the 2019-2020 season. So
it first came back, wasn't it, after the break?
Yeah, the 3-month break when the lockdowns happened, and yes, and they had a bit of dodgy Hawkeye, and I think it was at Villa Park. It was Sheffield United now, memory serves me right. It was against Sheffield United, and there was a lot of uproar about it, but it stood. But that's the only time I can remember Hawkeye actually being under a lot of scrutiny or even being controversial. But there was no doubt about the second goal, as we just seen there. Hawkeye involved this time. And as you can see, the ball definitely over the line. Well, the evidence is overwhelming there, Paul, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a system that's normally absolutely accurate, and I think that one start time with Villa, I think there just may have been some kind of communication issue more than anything else. But there was no doubt. You see there, it's well over the line.
Yes, and here's Raheem Sterling, 2-0. If you've just joined us on all TCO platforms, if you want to comment, please keep your comments clean. Ball out of play will be a Norwich City throw. So Norwich, as Paul James quite rightly said, do have the proverbial mountain to climb, as Gunn has to take a back pass on the bounce and kick it right towards almost to Sterling. Flick on by Sargent now, as Norwich now try to get something going. They've got to try and be positive, as Rachiki now battles with Walker on the far side. Norwich attacking the goal to my right now, and of course Manchester City to the left-hand side, as Morris is back there doing a little bit of defensive work. And Norwich have won it. Now then, next goal's going to be crucial if Norwich getting its game on again. There's a Norwich player gone tumbling, but he's back up on his feet again, and it's Ilkay Gundogan now on the ball. Feeds Raheem Sterling, who's had a terrific game on that left-hand side. Still Chelsea 1-1 in that World Cup final. Anything that happens there will bring you up to date, and will bring you up to speed. If you missed the half-time sequence with Russ with the Premier League scores, Stevenage have just finished against Barrow, up in Barrow, and a 500-mile round trip and delays were probably not worth it for the Stevenage fans, and I feel sorry for you guys. It actually finished 0-0. So I am really sorry for all the Stevenage fans who travelled up that 500-mile round trip. It wasn't exactly worth it for you guys, was it? Bruno folded around, ball played in, and Mahrez nearly got on the end of it. But again, gone with the intervention. Still, City haven't finished yet. They're inside the area now. Ball pulled back. It's going to be struck into the penalty area. Then the ball's looped up onto the roof of the net there by Max Aarons. And it'll be another Manchester City corner. And it looks as if now, barring accidents, City are just going to be merciless, Paul, now with 52 minutes of the second half gone. Norwich City 0, Manchester City 2.
Well, they're absolutely ruthless, and they're relentless in the way that they play. And this is because Pep Guardiola trains them that way. And in my opinion, Pep Guardiola is the current best manager in the world right now.
Well, I'd say still Klopp was up there as well, and one or two others. But yeah, I think Paul James is right on the money, though, with Pep Guardiola. And the ball played in, and it's over the bar from just inside the 6-yard area. It was Nathan Ake who got the final touch. And there might have been a little flick on in there, and Ake got the last touch and somehow contrived to nod it over the bar from something like 3-4 yards out. In fact, he flicked it over the bar with one of his feet, unfortunately, and just couldn't keep the effort down. Fernandinho's flick. And Paul, even though he's on the stretch a bit, you would have expected even Nathan Ake to have stuck that one away. Still 2-0 Manchester City, 53 minutes almost gone.
Yeah, it's 3 yards out. He's got to put that away, and he knows it. His face displays it when he was running away there. Should have been 3-0 at that point.
Yeah, and it's looking as if it could get worse before it gets better for Norwich City, because here comes Riyad Mahrez again, the former Leicester man, to Phil Foden, who stayed on side here. And it's been, the second half, it's been like a training ground exercise for Manchester City. If Norwich really gave them a game first half, they're certainly not doing that in the second. Here's Raheem Sterling for Manchester City, who, as things stand, would go 13 points clear with Liverpool. But Liverpool, of course, got to go to Burnley tomorrow. And that's going to be no easy street for Liverpool, no doubt about it. I'll be there, actually, as a spectator tomorrow. My first actual Burnley match as a fan for 3 years. I'm looking forward to going down there tomorrow, down to the turf to support J-DAC and the boys tomorrow as we look to get off the top, off the bottom of the league. Other results have helped us a little bit, especially at Watford. Brighton have done us a real star turn today. In fact, let me run through all the other results. And the lunchtime kickoff, Manchester United, like on Burnley on Tuesday night, dropped home points against Southampton. Still Ronaldo waiting for his first goal of the calendar year. I mean, it's not often you say that about Ronaldo. And you think now that Manchester City, who were heavily linked with him in the summer, have really dodged a bullet with that one. Elsewhere, Brentford Palace finished 0-0 at the Community Stadium down there in West London. Everton and Frank Lampard recovered from a torturous night at Newcastle to win 3-0 against Leeds United, who are now, I hate to say this to Russ, but Leeds could be back in a little bit of bother now. And Brighton winning 2-0 against Watford. But that's a bit of a blow for Leeds today, beaten 3-0 against Everton. It looked very conclusive, but I'm sure Russell will have a different idea. But I haven't seen the game, but that looks a very damning score for Bielsa's team. But plenty of games left for Leeds to try and get the requisite points. They're still in a decent position compared to others in the table. But so it's still 2-0 to Manchester City. So I mean, we are Burnley fans, and we're self-confessed Burnley fans, Paul. But at the moment, I think we've got to bag Brighton and Manchester City tonight. We're doing us a star turn or two, really, because we were thinking during that first half it would have been quite a lot of trepidation when Norwich had those chances. Meanwhile, Morris plays that in, headed away by Hanley. Comes to Zinchenko. We'll get Paul's thoughts on what I've just asked in a second, because Manchester City are still in attack, well in the final third. Gundogan is peeled away now towards the left. The cross gets a deflection. We've had 10 minutes of the second half. Still Gundogan. And here's Sterling inside the area. Sterling turns, shoots, deflects away. And James Sargent, the American, can bring it away for Norwich. Burnley have been... Well, we've had a couple of favours done for us today from a Burnley fans' point of view, haven't we, really, so far? Brighton winning against Watford and Norwich losing 2-0 here.
Yeah, they've. Burnley are facing a different beast than Manchester United tomorrow. But the results have gone our way very much today. So with Manchester City and Brighton's done us a huge favour. I, as a Burnley fan, would be happy with a point on Saturday, tomorrow.
Well, I actually digress. I think we need to win that game against Liverpool, because I know it's a difficult ask, but believe it or not, the game's sold out. I'm going there. Actually, my brother was supposed to be going with me, but he's very ill at the moment. So if you're listening, Carl, we wish you a speedy recovery. But I just want to point. So I'll probably be going there on my own, or get a friend or somebody to come with me now, because I've got a spare e-ticket for the game tomorrow. But it's a sellout, and if the turf crowd get behind the boys, anything's possible. Anyway, back to tonight, and it's Raheem Sterling now for Manchester City, trying to tease Max Aarons, and he's teased him really well, gets to the byline, and it will be a Manchester City corner off Grant Hanley. And again, Raheem Sterling, I think he's had the one on Max Aarons right from the word go tonight, Paul. He's really twisted him inside and out ever since the very first whistle.
Yeah, he's been very impressive and in this game, and Sterling is a world-class player. With him on form as well, he's going to be added to that England squad going into the World Cup. So, he's hitting form at the right time too.
Yes, and we've got a commentary coming up tomorrow from League One, which we'll tell you about in just a second. Here comes the corner into the penalty area, headed out. It'll come to Riyad Mahrez on the far side, but Norwich City have pinched possession and then look to try and get a counter-attack away, but can't successfully do so. But they do have possession in the centre of the park now. Hookie's onside here if he can reach it, but out comes Edison playing sweeper keeper, tidies up any potential mess that Manchester City would have got themselves into, and he's still got possession about 25 yards out of his penalty area, but he's scampered back. He's given the ball to Zinchenko and has scampered back to his penalty area. Right, let me remind you of what's coming up on all TCO platforms tomorrow. There is a live commentary tomorrow, not from the Premier League, but we've got a League One lunchtime commentary with Russ, and it's a pretty tasty Yorkshire derby. It's hometown club. Rotherham are involved. They're at Hillsborough tomorrow to play Sheffield Wednesday, 12 o'clock kickoff. We'll be on the air with Russ Vernon. We'll be bringing you that one from 12 noon on all TCO platforms. So if you like your League One football, we've got a League One commentary for you with Russ Vernon tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow lunchtime from 12 noon from Hillsborough. It's Sheffield Wednesday against the leaders, Rotherham United. Should be a tasty South Yorkshire derby, that one. And we'll have that for you on the TCO tomorrow afternoon for you. 12 noon kickoff, if you're wondering, for that one. Nice little tasty South Yorkshire derby to go to complement your Sunday roast. Meanwhile, on a Saturday night in Norwich, it's a good Saturday night out in Norwich if you're a Manchester City fan, or you're a couple of Burnley fans in the commentary box like me and Paul are, because Manchester City are leading by 2-0. Norwich have knocked on the door several times in the first half. Didn't get anywhere, and they haven't really got into it there. Brandon Rilling's been helped out to his feet there by Pep Guardiola, of all people, as he went in for a 50-50 challenge there with Kyle Walker and came off the worst, unfortunately. But players being able to continue. Still 2-0 to Manchester City if you just joined us. And Paul will have to get his thinking cap on in a second, in a few minutes, because there's a player of the match to be chosen, and he's got one of them. You'd have to say Raheem Sterling, who scored one of the goals tonight, Foden the other. And in fact, let me just tell you that Sterling is now moved to outright top scorer with 8 goals now. Foden has moved on to 6 for the season. So that's just to recap the goal scorers. So we're playing an hour here on all TCO platforms. Fernandinho now flicking it on. Here's Kenny McLean. Here's a chance for Rachika. Rachika shoots, but he's straight down the throat of Edison, who got in the near post like a hawk. And it would have took a lot to be beaten from there, even at the near post, Paul. But a way of hope possibly there for Norwich City.
Yeah, it's the first chance really created in the second half. I mean, it could have been a better finish. It was pretty much right at Edison. But it's a start for Norwich, and it's taken a while for them to get into this second half.
Absolutely. Update from the... there's a half-time and extra time in the World Club Championship. It's still 1-1 between Chelsea and Palmeiras. So it's still 1 apiece, by the way, in that final. Looks like we could be odds on for penalties, the way things are going right now. So 1 apiece in that final. 2-0 here. 6 attempts to 15 in City's favour. 2 on target for Norwich. A whopping 6 for Manchester City. Really, Paul, when you look at those stats, it does look an open and shut case, this game, but it doesn't really tell half the story, really, when you look at the first half back.
Yeah, no, when Norwich, before the first goal went in, I noticed the stats come up, and I was looking at, I think it was a 4-3 attempt for Norwich. And then when the first goal went in, things seemed to change after that. I think that might have deflated Norwich a little bit when that first goal went in. Yeah,
but they were still in the game at the half-time, but City have stepped it up really more in the second half and have been totally ruthless and merciless. And here's Sterling again, onside on the left-hand side. He'll try and twist Max Aarons again. And again, this time, the challenge came in from Grant Hanley, no-nonsense Scottish centre-back, captain of Norwich. They're going to make a change. In fact, they're going to make a double substitution here in Norwich. Max Aarons is coming off, and number 16 is Norman. He's 1. Number 3, also Sam Byram is going to come on as well for Norwich City. So, he's had a tormented time as Max Aarons. So Byram takes his place. I'll get Paul's opinion on that performance from Max Aarons tonight in a second. We'll just confirm that other sub in a minute or two. So Lees Mellier is the other player coming off. And the German Norman is going to come on. That's spelled Normann as opposed to 1N. Paul, Max Aarons has had a torrid night, hasn't he? Or Max Aarons, I should say. He's had a torrid night.
Yeah, he's had to deal with Sterling, who has been absolutely outstanding all night. There's just nothing that he could have done, really.
Yeah, and now it's up to Byram now to try and stem the tide, but it's Manchester City coming forward. There's a man free on the far side. That man is Riyad Mahrez. Far side. Mahrez shoots side netting. And Mahrez wants a corner. Don't think he's going to get it. But I don't think he'll be too unduly worried about that. It's still Norwich City 2, Norwich City 0 rather, Manchester City 2. I've been ring rusty for the last month. So apologies if I've got 1 or 2 things a little bit awry, but it happens to the best of us, even me. Still 2-0 to Manchester City, 63.5 gone.
Yeah, no, you've done fine, JB. You're too tough on yourself.
Oh, I know. And I give you lot of it. And I tell you lot never to be tough on yourself. Says me. But anyway, 2-0 to Manchester City. They've been thoroughly professional in their performance. But can Norwich make it a real game now? Oh, that's a shame. That's an absolute shame. That Kenny McLean was offside as that ball was played. He couldn't touch it, but loved the money. But in the end, Norwich have got the consolation prize of a corner. And again, you've got to say full marks for Timo Pukki again for winning that lost cause.
Yeah, that's what he does. That's what makes him such a valuable player. Not just his goals, but his hard work.
Well, let's see what they can do from this corner then. They're third of the game. One goal now could really put this in the balance. Here comes the corner. Billy Gilmore with it towards the back stick. Header won by Hanley, but it's wide. Probably about 5 yards wide of the target. And another potential opportunity for Norwich to get something from this game has evaporated into nothing, and it still remains 2-0 with 64 on the clock as City lose possession again. And now here come Norwich City. Here's Sargent, far side. Can he reach this ball? No, Aki stops him. And in fact, it's a goal kick. Yeah, I thought Sargent was going to spot it up for a corner then for a second, but then obviously was trying to get it quickly over towards Edison. But one or two signs there for Norwich that they're not out of this by any stretch of the imagination, Paul, but it's going to be a tough old job to get back in this now, surely.
Yeah, they haven't given up, which is good, because this could have descended into a cricket score, but they've worked hard and they've tried to get themselves back into the game. Credit to Norwich.
Well, they've got a chance. Well, I thought for a moment they were going to get a chance there, but the back pass just had enough purchase on it to get back to Edison. City just playing one or two dangerous games on the edge of their own area, which on another day they could have well been punished against better opposition than Norwich City. That's not doing a disservice to Norwich, by the way. Here come Manchester City again. Shot coming in, but it's blocked away once more. It was Kyle Walker with the shot. Now he could be out of position as Norwich went forward, cantering forward with Rachika. But in the end, it was Fernandinho, in fact, had the shot. But in the end, Manchester City almost playing Harry Carey on the edge of their own area. At 2-0 down, they can, even at 2-0 up, they can ill afford to make elementary mistakes like that, because if had been a better team we were playing against, a Liverpool or a Chelsea, then there's no way, Paul, they would have recovered from that.
No, they've got to stay switched on. They can't be making decisions like that. I don't think Pep Guardiola will be happy with that.
He's a very thorough man, Pep Guardiola. If you ever watched the Against All Odds series on Amazon Prime, it's there to watch. And there's one about Tottenham. And you look at managers like Pep Guardiola and Jose Mourinho, and the amount of hard work they have to put in to it. It's not just about buying players; it's about doing the dirty stuff as well. From a manager's point of view, Zinchenko crosses into the penalty area. It's headed away by Norwich City, who, whatever happens tonight, they've given a good account of themselves. There's no shame in being beaten here by Manchester City 2-0, but if it's 3 or 4, then it's extremely harsh on them when you look at it from a commentator's point of view. Gundogan now gets it back. Fernandinho on again. It's merciless football, this, for Manchester City. They're back to walking football pace once again. Ball played in towards the middle. Foden and Sterling, the scorers either side of half-time, winning it for City. Zinchenko now with a cross from the left. Gets a half deflection. Falls for Phil Foden, who is going to be a talent of the future. There's no doubt about that. If he's brilliant now, think what he's going to be when he gets to 28, 29 years old. I think he's going to be up there with one of the best players of modern generations. Up there with the likes of the Mbappes and people of that ilk, really, when you look at him. Here's Mahrez now into the area. A little overlapping run from Kyle Walker. Gets the cross back. It's a corner to Manchester City, and Kyle Walker nearly falls into the Norwich City fans. And they're having a giggle. It's all jovial over there. No trouble, no racial toast, no nothing like that. No nonsense. It's just a few smiles from fans and Kyle Walker, from Norwich fans and Kyle Walker. City have a corner. They've taken it quickly. Walker's actually quite sensibly stayed off the pitch, because if he had trotted on, he would have been in an offside position. So City actually playing with 10 men temporarily as this attack goes on. It breaks to Diaz, who shoots, deflects away. Still Zinchenko. Kyle Walker hasn't come back onto the field yet. Not sure if he's injured or not.
I think he's winded.
Well, whatever he was, he did the right thing and staying off the pitch, because if he had gone back over the white line, over the byline, he would have been offside. But it's. I think when we look back at this game, Paul, that's the reason why he collided with a television camera. That's what happened. I just laughed at it and thinking he just collided with the advertising boards. Oh dear me! I just hope he doesn't have to pick up the bill for the cameraman. Didn't break the lens, thank the heavens. Mind you, footballers these days on their wage brackets, Paul, they could afford to pay the damage to a television camera.
Oh yeah.
There's the ball played back in there, and it's going to be a third one. I think the flag stayed down. And the flag is not gone up, and the goal will stand. VAR will check it. It's an easy finish inside the 6-yard box for Raheem Sterling. And it looks as if now, barring accidents, with 20 minutes to go, Manchester City are going to get all 3 points. It's been a thoroughly professional performance. And Norwich, yet again, switched off. Now, was he onside? I think he was, yeah, no doubt about it. Goal will stand. And it's Norwich City 0, Manchester City 3. We've played nearly 70 minutes on the TC Hub. And you can't see any other destination of the points now, Paul James, than 3 for Manchester City.
Yeah, looks like Josh Sargent was playing him onside there. It was an easy header, an easy goal, but Sterling has deserved the second goal tonight. He's worked so hard. He's been very impressive throughout the whole game. Riyad Mahrez is coming back on now, but I do feel for Norwich. They have worked very hard today themselves, and there's been no shame in their performance.
Yeah, I think 3-0's a little harsh considering their first half endeavours. I don't think there's much doubt about that. But with 20 minutes to go, it does look like an open and shut case, to be quite honest with you. And I have to say, 3-0 doesn't flatter. I think 3-0 flatters a bit to deceive. But here's Kenny McLean now for Norwich. Can they get one back and make it a little bit of a grandstand finish? It comes off Aki for a corner. So can Norwich at least, even if they've lost the game now, if they perform admirably in the next 20 minutes, get a goal or 2 back, then there will be no shame in losing to this calibre of opposition. As the Manchester City fans right away just to our left-hand side, to our right-hand side rather, just celebrate as if they've won the FA Cup. Here's Billy Gilmore's corner, into the penalty area it goes. Headed out once more, back in again. And easy one for Edison to take on the 6-yard box. But at least, Paul, they're not giving up yet. Still 3, even at 3-0 down, with just shy of 90 minutes to go on the TCL.
Yeah, no, they've not given up. They're still going at it. And like I said, I think Norwich have done quite well under the circumstances today. And perhaps 3-0 is a little harsh on Norwich. But City have also played some incredible stuff all afternoon.
Yes, I think that's one thing that we have to absolutely address, really, because it's been that sort of afternoon, really, in that sort of respect. I mean, Norwich have given them a good examination, but City's quality is rising to the surface. They haven't made a substitution yet, Manchester City, which shows what Norwich could well be up against still later on in the piece. But 5 changes that City made. A lot of people were saying out of mind, leaving De Bruyne out and 1 or 2 others, but again, you question Pep, he always comes up with the goods. Here's Mahrez now on the edge of the area. Chips it in towards the back post. It could be a 4th one there. But it comes out now to Zinchenko. Still alive for Manchester City inside that penalty box. And it comes out to Fernandinho. He was not going to strike it from there, was he? Zinchenko now to Sterling. Back to Zinchenko. Right-hand side. Still 3-0 to Manchester City. Still 1-1 in that Chelsea final. Looks like it's going to be a penalty shootout in that one in Qatar for the World Club Championships. Remember when Chelsea won the European Cup in 2012 under Robbie Di Matteo? Well, they needed penalties to beat Bayern Munich in Munich. It might, to win their maiden European Cup, well, it might need the similar sort of attributes to win the Club World Championships. So that's the scoreline as it stands at the moment. In Qatar. Here at Carrow Road, it's 3-0. Earlier today, Manchester United 1, Southampton 1, Brentford 0, Crystal Palace 0, Everton 3, Leeds 0, and Watford 0, Brighton 2. And still no. And don't forget, we've got League One commentary. And there's been a goal in the game at Chelsea. Kai Havertz from the penalty spot, 3 minutes from the end. With 3 minutes left to play, could give Chelsea the World Club Championship. And what a fillip that would be, not just for English football, but for British football as well going forward. And with it being World Cup year as well, later this year, what a shot in the arm for our national game.
Yeah, they'll get the little badge there on their shirts, won't they? The little gold badge that goes along with that.
Yes, yeah, that's true. Liverpool wore that with pride when they won the World Cup Championship a couple of years ago, when they won the European Cup in 2019. When they won the World Cup Championship, they wore it with pride the next year. And what a job Thomas Tuchel has done. He's only been there a year, but he's won the European Cup, and he's now won the World Cup Championships. And of course, they've got the Carabao final to come as well a little bit later. McT is about to come on, number 87 for Bernardo Silva. So McT is going to get a little bit of first team action for Manchester City. And Bernardo Silva, he didn't get amongst the scorers, comes on to replace him. So an opportunity here for McT to see what he's all about. Incidentally, Sterling's second goal there puts him on 9 for the season in the Premier League. And they've got a free kick on the right-hand side, incidentally, which Foden and Gundogan on the two-man committee. We've still got a quarter of an hour of this to go. Still 3-0. The ball was lifted it towards the back post, headed over the top, and it could have been 4 then. I think Fernandinho was in there, so too was 1 or 2 others, but Norwich survive, and it's still 3-0 Manchester City with a quarter of an hour left here on the TC Up.
Yeah, that was another opportunity there. I don't think City are going to give up. They may well get another one before the end.
You wouldn't put it past them the way they're playing at the moment. They are one of the most merciless teams around in European, if not the world football. At the moment of the time, the way I hesitate to say world football, there might be 1 or 2 Brazilian teams or 1 or 2 Argentinian teams that may have something to say on that matter. But and of course Chelsea as well, because they're going to be world champions in the small if they hold on for the small matter of another couple of minutes plus stoppage time. And as soon as we get wind of the result in Qatar, we'll bring it to you live on the TC Hub. But here it's Premier League football, and Manchester City's march towards another championship has taken another massive leap. 3-0 they lead with just shy of 14 minutes left to play. It's looking very increasingly as if it's going to be Manchester City's to lose now in terms of the results and the way that they're playing. It's been quite an examination for Norwich City tonight. There's no doubt about it. But they're not going to give up. Here's Pukki now coming forward. Pukki stopped there by Foden. And it was illegal, said the referee. And, even though he's not scored tonight, Timo Pukki, Paul, he's been a whirling runner and he's not giving up lost causes, even if it's going to be a lost cause of a defeat from Norwich City this evening. Yeah,
no, he's worked very, very hard all night long. You've got to give Timo Pukki credit. Like I said, he's not just a goal scorer. He creates, he works, and he's worthy of his money.
Could be showing interest as well from other suitors as Norwich have a free kick, but there's a foul there on Nathan Ake and a free kick, or was it? Well, I thought it was by Ben Gibson on Nathan Ake, I've got to admit, but I think the referee was I think considering no harm was done no effort was going to trouble the goalkeeper, the referee was well within his right to play on. Norwich have had 25% in the game so far. Well, that's possession, 75 Manchester City, and it just backs up what Paul James was saying off air in the build-up to this game that Manchester City, and look at that, Paul, 20 attempts for Manchester City. I think when you look back at it, I think it has been a bit of an open shut case, especially second half, where Manchester City, as I said many, many times this evening, have just been utterly, utterly ruthless.
Well, they're just this with Manchester City. It's possession. They just keep the ball. Their defense never gets tested hardly because nobody can get the ball from them. They're an incredible team. I look back at great teams in English football down the years, and Manchester City have got to be right up there.
And then some people would argue, well, Paul, they've done it by buying and spending a humongous amount of money, and other teams, other rivals, and other teams in the same league will complain that they've had an unfair advantage. Like we will say that Newcastle have had a bit of an unfair advantage with their money. So with that, I suppose with having a lot of money in the back pocket, there's going to be that criticism. There's going to be those questions asked, aren't they? But taking nothing away from City, they are a good footballing side. But there's always going to be that nagging doubt in the back of other teams' supporters' minds that City have been buying the title season in, season out. And that is something you can't really ignore.
No, you can't. That's true. But you also have to remember that that's kind of gone on for years. Just the value in terms of money has changed. I mean, you look at Blackburn Rovers, the money they spent on Chris Sutton, for example, Manchester United, what they spent to bring in their players. unfortunately, for a long time, at least since the Premier League started, money has dominated. And I agree with you. I don't like it. I think there should be a salary cap in the game, in my mind. I think it would make the game more competitive, but I don't think that's something we're likely to see anytime soon.
Yeah, it's a shame, really, because it's we want to see fairness in football. We really do, and it's very, very disappointing to see that. But that's the way the game's changed. It's not like 40, 50 years ago. If you watched the big match revisitors and things like that, people used to love the game for the loving's sake. It was a working game, but it's not anymore. But here come Zinchenko now for Manchester City. We're inside coming up towards the last 10 minutes of what's been a very, well, for about 50% of this game, a very competitive game. But really, in the first 30 or 35 minutes of the second half, City have just absolutely taken Norwich City well and truly to the cleaners. But they're not giving up Norwich by any means. But 3-0, I think, in the end, will be a happy scoreline for Manchester City, not so. But here's Byram now for Norwich. On to Sargent. Sargent has to turn. He was sold a blind alley there by two City defenders. Still, we've had no word from the World Club final between. Still 2-1 the last we heard. We haven't had any rumours of the full-time whistle going. Should have gone by now, and we'll get confirmation as soon as we get it here on the TCO. Going to be another change, and it's going to be number 48 here. Is it number 48?
Yeah, it's Liam Delap.
Liam Delap. I've got number 47 on my crib sheet. I don't know why I've got number 47. It's the other. No, it's Phil. Foden's number 47. 48 is Delap. I got that one wrong. But anyway, Phil Foden is coming off. That's the first thing. We've had 81 minutes of this second half, or this game. And the ball now is knocked forward once again up towards one of the Norwich players. Here's Timo Pukki now for Norwich. Trying to get something going, but the ball out of play. So Norwich walking away with nothing, but plenty of pride, I'm sure, even in a 3-0 defeat. And Delap is number 48. Got that wrong on the crib sheet, didn't I? Anyway, we played 8 minutes. We've got 8 minutes to play for the second half, and I just hope the fourth official doesn't give too much stoppage time and just put Norwich out their misery a little bit, because it's not much fun, I suppose, Paul, when you get to the end of a grueling 90 minutes and then the fourth official sticks 5 minutes up, and that for a team that are getting tonked 3-4-0, that is the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, it can't be much fun in that situation. I mean, at this point, I think they are still chasing the game, Norwich, but really they're just kind of doing the due diligence, really. At this point, they have to know that the game is over. I think, you don't want to be adding another 5 minutes or so on and having to chase Manchester City around without the ball.
Absolutely. And still, we've got a player down injured. Rachuka is back up on his feet. He's still feeling a little bit of pain at the end of it all. And the whistle has gone in Qatar, and I'm pleased to announce that Chelsea have done it. They've won 2-1, and Chelsea are the new World Cup champions. A big well done to Thomas Tuchel's men, who are the world champions. Now we're going to see Kapiki come on now for Manchester City. Riyad Mahrez is the man who's replacing. And Paul, you've got about 4 or 5 minutes to get your thinking cap on, my friend, because you've got to choose a player to match in a second or two. So
I've already chose it.
You might as well. You may as well tell me it straight away. Then you might as well tell me, even though we're a bit early. But if you've got it, and tell us it now.
It's Raheem Sterling. He's just been outstanding on that left-hand side. You have to credit the man for his goals, his work ethic. He's definitely given Aarons a torrid old time. So yes, he is my man of the match.
Yeah, so that's the player of the match, sponsored by Commentary Services. That's Raheem Sterling of Manchester City, and a pretty obvious but very good choice by our co-commentator tonight, Paul James, alongside me, JB, John Stuttard, to give us to give you my full name. And we hope you've enjoyed our coverage. It's been nice to be back live doing a commentary. I was live last week for the Notts Forest game, which was a pretty good one with Trevor and CW. They'll be back for the 5th round of the FA Cup. They've got a tasty old fixture as well coming up, as well as the boys not back. They've got who they got? Middlesbrough and Tottenham their next live match. And on the same night, I'll be recording a very good game. In fact, I'll be covering Manchester City the same night, recording commentary on their match with Peterborough United away at the London Road. So you'll be able to hear that the next day on all the TCM platforms. We've got about 5 minutes to go here. Just to remind you that Raheem Sterling is our player of the match, sponsored by Commentary Services. In 2 weeks' time, we've got full commentary of the Carabao final from Wembley between Chelsea and Liverpool. Can Chelsea win their second trophy inside a month? Well, we'll find out in 2 weeks' time when they take on Liverpool, looking to win the League Cup for the first time in 10 years, when they beat Cardiff in a penalty shootout. And then tomorrow, tomorrow afternoon, join Russ Vernon from about 11:55 in the morning for exclusive worldwide commentary, alternate worldwide commentary of Rotherham's match away at Sheffield Wednesday. Should be a crack at that one, that's for sure. And as soon as we're finished here, I'm off to get up to the turf for tomorrow's game, because I'll be straight down there, because I'm going to leave very early, so I'm going to have to leave you in the lurch at full time, Paul. But we've got 4 minutes of this to go, and we'll bring you that last 4 minutes for you right now as Norwich comes streaming forward again with Rachuka. Into the area he goes, and good challenge there once again by Ruben Diaz. Well, even though he's been on a yellow card since the 20th minute or something like that, he hasn't let his team down at all, and he's been, you have to say, Paul, very disciplined.
Yeah, he has. And like I said, the work that Norwich have put in today, they've worked hard. Maybe 3-0's a little harsh, as I said earlier, but the collectively as a group they've worked hard as well.
Yeah, and Dow's going to get a couple of minutes as well, because he's replaced James Sargent, the remaining 3.5 minutes plus injury time at the end of the game, which Manchester City are cruising at the moment by 3-0. 3 points surely safely bagged and heading up the M1 back to Manchester, the M1 and the M62 back to Manchester this evening, or the A1 mainly, because the A1's more nearer than the M1 from Norwich, right on the East Anglian coast. And of course, famous for 3 things: the sale of the century with Nicholas Parsons, Coleman's mustard, and not forgetting our old friend Alan Partridge. But 3-0. I don't think Alan Partridge, I'm sure he's a Norwich fan, I think deep down, I don't think he'll be very happy. Well, he's a fictional character, but I don't think Alan Partridge would be happy at all. But there we go. So that's what Norwich are famous for, as well as a
drunken rant against Manchester City. Delia's drunken rant at Carrow Road.
Oh, Delia Smith, of course. How can I forget that one?
And that was against Manchester City. I was almost expecting her to come out again onto the field.
Well, there was a difference then. That was against a very poor Manchester City under the guise of Kevin Keegan in those days, before the Arabs came in and transformed the club. Meanwhile, there's a chance inside the area. Is that a penalty? Looks as if it is. It's a penalty. And could well be a chance for Raheem Sterling to get his hat-trick. The referee has said penalty. They will check it on VAR, but looks like Grant Hanley and his team are about to go possibly 4-0 down. Here's the replay again. The ball played in, and it was Delap who went charging through. What do you think, Paul? Penalty or not?
Penalty. He runs right in front of you. If you look at it here, makes no
Gibson pushes him. Yeah, Gibson clearly pushes him there, and then Hanley finishes him off for good measure. It was almost a destruction derby, to be fair, on poor old young Paul Delap, but it's a penalty anyway. And Kevin Friend, or rather Andre Mariner, just telling one or two of the Norwich players just to go away, and it will be a penalty kick. Raheem Sterling is going to take it to hopefully complete his hat-trick and to make absolutely sure of the points if they weren't assured already. And Sterling now, our player of the match, chosen by our co-coms, Paul James. I think it was a very sensible and safe choice, an obvious one. Has a chance now with 30 seconds of normal time to go to make it absolute. It's going to be right-footed, that's for sure. Longest shot of run-up. Angus Gunn has played so well. He doesn't deserve to have free at the moment, put past him. The Norwich flags are flying to try and put Raheem Sterling off. Can he get his hat-trick? Sterling stepped up right-footed. Oh, it's brilliantly saved, but Sterling will step in the rebound. And that's really hard lines on Angus Gunn, who made a terrific save down with away to his right-hand side. But unfortunately for him, it went straight into the path of Raheem Sterling, who does complete his hat-trick. And Manchester City are heading away from East Anglia with all 3 points. 4-0 they lead, 3 minutes of added on time. Paul James.
Yeah, that was a slap in the face for Angus Gunn. He didn't deserve that in the way that he's played today. But, I mean, that's football, isn't it? You don't always get what you deserve. It was a fine save. He got across quite well. It's just the ball bounced, reverted back in a strange sort of way and left Sterling with a tap-in. Maybe Sterling does deserve his hat-trick as well. So, yeah, poetic justice, I don't know.
Poetic justice, indeed, possibly. It's probably the right word, really, for it, really, when you think about it. But it's Norwich City, no. Manchester City 4. It is a bit hard on Norwich, really. It did contribute so much to that first half, remember. 1-0 at the break, of course, but Sterling with a hat-trick and Phil Foden tapping in the second one. He's going to have a nice little memento to take home the match ball anyway. But, yeah, I'm with you. It's very harsh on Angus Gunn. He's played too well to have 4 put past him. He's plays so well, and it's very hard to lines on Angus Gunn, who's played so well. But at the end of the day, that's football, and that's just the way it goes sometimes. So we played nearly 3 minutes. We played nearly a minute and a half of the 3 minutes, and the ball hooked forward once more, and over the top it goes. And here go Manchester City again with Mahrez, still very, very merciless the way they're going at it. They're looking to get the 4th, maybe 5th one at the moment. And the ball now back with Pukki, and on it goes again. Now then, Dow gets his first touch. It's coming on the substitute, and his first contribution is actually to win a free kick from the aforementioned Raheem Sterling, who actually picks up a yellow card, which he seems a little bit disgusted about. We've got a minute and the 3 left to go. So let's sum it up at this stage now, Paul. The game's won. Nothing you think is going to happen for the next minute or 2. When you look back at the game as a whole, what are your final thoughts on tonight's match, Paul?
Well, City have played very well. Nobody can deny that. They've kept possession excellently. They've dominated large parts of this game. And they have, although I consider the result to be a little harsh, their performance thoroughly deserves the win.
Yes, and a lot of empty seats now around Carrow Road. The Norwich fans have given up the ghost. Unsurprising, really, but they can go home proud of their side if even giving it a good go. 20 seconds of time added on left to go. And it's been a resounding victory, although Norwich really gave it their best shot in the first half. But at the end of it all, it's been very, very difficult for sure. As the ball is laid in again. Now then, Dow. Can they finish with a flourish here, Norwich? Try and pull one back towards the end. It's been a very chastening night. So chasing the second half for Norwich as the full-time whistle has been bolted by Mr. Mariner, the referee. Well, Pep Guardiola's team always show no mercy. And tonight, you have to say, certainly in the second half of the game, they absolutely showed no exception to the rule. Norwich were good, or at least a good 45 minutes tonight. They really were in the game despite being 1-0 down. But then back really came Norwich, but back came Manchester City. A hat-trick for Raheem Sterling, and then a goal who scored goals 1, 3 and 4. The second one scored from close range from Phil Foden, which just about crossed the line, which was given on advice of Hawkeye. And, well, despite a spirited performance from Dean Smith's side, Manchester City, even with 5 changes tonight, were just far too good. The final score here at Carrow Road, as I leave you now tonight, is finished. And before I leave you, Manchester City with that win now go 13 points clear. It's been a great night for them, great night for Chelsea. But the final score here at Carrow Road, it's Norwich City 0, Manchester City 5. Russ, over to you.
Cheers, JB. Well, I'll just correct you there, JB. Finished Norwich City 0, Manchester City 4. The final score, not 5, as JB mentioned at the end. Just there, we'll get back to Paul James in just a second as we'll look across some of the matches that have taken place today as well. We'll just touch upon a couple of the other matches in a few moments' time, which I'll do for you in a second. We'll just before I touch on the other results tonight, Paul. Obviously, you gave Sterling your player of the match on commentary duty this afternoon, or this evening, or morning, depending where our listeners are tuned in from. What was it about Sterling's performance that you liked, which made him stand out to the rest of the players tonight, Paul?
Well, let's just take the 3 goals out of it for a moment, because the reason I gave him the man of the match was not because of the 3 goals. It was his work ethic throughout the game. He absolutely made Max Aaron's life a living hell down that left-hand side, and tormented all the way through the game, creating chances all the way through the game. He worked very, very hard. Of course, on top of that, there is the 3 goals as well. I think he was worthy of the man of the match tonight. The only other real contender for me might have been Ilkay Gundogan, but I don't think it can really go to anybody else other than Raheem Sterling.
Yes, absolutely, mate. There, we'll just run you, touch you upon the rest of the other Premier League scores today. About Manchester United and Southampton ended a 1-1. It finished goalless between Brentford and Crystal Palace. Everton beat Leeds United by 3-0. Watford lost 2-0 to Brighton, while Norwich City got hammered 4-0 by Manchester City. In the FIFA Club World Cup, I can tell you that it finished Chelsea 2, Palamas 1, and Chelsea are the world champions, FIFA Club World Champions, which we'll get Paul's thoughts on that in a moment or so. Let's go through the other results which I didn't mention earlier, starting off, continuing from where we left off. We left off with the League 2, now into the National League, and we'll come back to you in this. We'll fetch Paul back in a second to touch upon Chelsea beating Palamas and his thoughts on Chelsea season so far. In the National League, it finished Barney 1, Wilston 3, Dover 1, Torquay 3, Eastleigh 0, Yeovil 0, Grimsby 3, Aldershot 1, Kingsley 0, Altrincham 1, Weymouth 1, Chesterfield 1, Woking 2, Southend United 3 is the result there. In the National League North, FC Telford 0, Kidderminster 1, Alfreton 0, Gateshead 4, Blythe Spartans 1, Kettering 2, Boston United 1, Southport 1, Bracknell Town 1, AFC Fylde 0, Darlington 2, Chester 1, Farnborough Celtic 1, Gloucester 2, Hereford 2, Guiseley 0, Leamington 2, Chorley 1, Bradford Park Avenues game away, Spennymoor and York City v Kirsten Ashton. Match was postponed, and they were in the FA Trophy. I'll fetch some of those results as well. In the National League South, Bath City 0, Dorking Wanderers 2, Billericay Town 2, Dulwich Hamlet 0, Chelmsford 1, Hampton and Richmond 0, Concord Rangers 3, Hampton Waterloo 1, Eastbourne Borough 2, Maidstone United 3, Ebbsfleet 1, Slough 2, Oxford City 2, ML Hempstead 0, St Albans City 0, Braintree 1, Welling 1, Chippenham 0. In the Ishmael League Premier Division, because Alton 1, Lewes 2, Corinthians Casuals 0, Bowers and Pitsea 3, East Thurrock 0, Margate 0, Enfield Town 0, Bishop Stortford 2, Aldchurch 4, Folkestone 1, Horsham 4, Kingstonian 0, Leatherhead 2, Bognor Regis 2, Merstham 0, Worthing 2, Pottersbar 1, Haringey 0, Winchgate and Finchley 2, Cray 2. In Ligue 1 in France, it finished Montpellier 0, Lille 1. Lyon take on Nice, kicking off at 8 p.m. UK time. In the German Bundesliga today, Bochum 4, Bayern Munich 2, Frankfurt 0, Wolfsburg 2, Freiburg 1, Mainz 1, Greuther Fürth 2, Hertha Berlin 1, Borussia Mönchengladbach 3, Augsburg 2, Bayer Leverkusen 4, Stuttgart 2. In Serie A, Lazio 3, Bologna 0, Napoli 1, Inter 1, and Torino versus Venezia kick off at 7:45 UK time. In the Dutch Eredivisie, 3 latest scores: Cambuur 3, PEC Zwolle 4, Groningen 0, Sittard 1, and Vitesse Arnhem 0, PSV Eindhoven 2. PSV Eindhoven is in the 25th minute. The other two, Cambuur versus PEC Zwolle in the 84th, Groningen v Sittard in the 83rd minute this evening. In the Portuguese League, Braga 2, Pacos de Ferreira 1, Benfica 2, Santa Clara 1, Portimonense 1, Boavista 1, Estrela v Tondela kick off at 8:30 p.m. UK time. In the Scottish Championship, Kilmarnock 2, Dunfermline 1, Morton 2, Queen of the South 1, Scottish League 1, Edgeronians 4, Montrose 1, Alloa 1, East Fife 3, Clyde 1, Dumbarton 3, Cove Rangers 0, Queen's Park 0. Scottish League 2, Counterby v Farfar, match postponed, Elgin 1, Stranraer 2. In the Scottish Cup, Arts 0, Livingston 0, Arts won 4-3 on penalties. Motherwell 2, Aberdeen 1. Partick Thistle 0, Dundee United 1. St Mirren 4, Celtic Arts 0. Annan Athletic 0, Rangers 3. In La Liga, Cadiz 0, Celta Vigo 0, Villarreal 0, Real Madrid 0, Rayo Vallecano 0, Osasuna 3, and at 8 o'clock is Atletico de Madrid taking on Getafe this evening. In the Welsh CMU Premier, Cardiff Metropolitan 1, Newtown 1, Cynarfon 3, Ballatown 3. And that completes the results there. Just before we do wrap up then, let's fetch Paul James back in. Obviously, Paul, you heard me mention earlier in the game that Chelsea won the Club World Cup and now the champions of the world on the club stage after beating Palmeiras by 2-1 this evening. Well, this afternoon, going into this evening, kicked off at 4:30 p.m. UK time against Palmeiras, the Brazilian side who were doing fairly well in their respective group, top of their group in Group C, on 10 points in their division this evening, in their actual league this evening. They obviously lost tonight to Chelsea. Chelsea, champions of the world. Just talk to me, Paul, about Chelsea's season from what you've seen of them so far, and what have you made to Chelsea's performances so far this season, Paul?
Well, they've I don't think they're going to really catch Liverpool. And the last 5 results in the league haven't been great. They've won 1 out of 5 and drawn 3 and lost 1. This would have been a tough game for them today. So they've done well to come out of that with a 2-1 victory. Looking at Chelsea, I think, they're going to be in a Champions League place for sure. But I think they're still a ways off making a challenge on Manchester City for the championship in terms of, I think that they're going to have to look at things in the summer and make a decision on whether or not they need to bring anybody in here to challenge Manchester City if they want to bring the league title back to Stamford Bridge.
Yes, and just before we do go, we'll just mention what games in the Premier League are taking place tomorrow. It's Burnley against Liverpool, Newcastle against Aston Villa, Tottenham against Wolves, and Leicester against West Ham. Obviously, Paul, I'm going to ask you a question now, which I think you know what question is about to come.
Hmm.
Your team, Burnley, are taking on Liverpool tomorrow. Liverpool have now got Mohamed Salah back from African Cup of Nations. Also got Sadio Mane back from the AFCON. They did really, really well on Thursday evening, beating Leicester by 2-0. We've scored 5 goals in the last 2 games in all competitions. But in the last 3, they've scored 8 goals in the last 3 matches in all competitions, including the game against Crystal Palace, the game against Cardiff, and the game against Leicester. Burnley, on the other hand, Paul, I don't want to rub it in. They've only scored 1 goal in the last 3 Premier League matches, 2 goals in the last 4 across all competitions. Well, if you're going back to the start of the year, Burnley have scored. You scored 1 away at Manchester United, 1 away at Leeds, 1 away, 1 at home to Huddersfield in the FA Cup, and then 1 against Manchester United. So you've scored 4 goals since towards back end of last season, going into the start of this year. So 3 in total this year, with a couple of goal straws in there. Obviously, you've probably seen the performance and the display against Manchester United last time out for Burnley. JB mentioned earlier that he wants to see similar levels of that performance against this Liverpool side tomorrow, which is going to prove a bit tough for Burnley to do the same intensity and same levels. Where do you want to see Burnley do better against Liverpool, and where do you see what do you see the outcome being on that game with you being a Burnley fan, Paul? And
Well,
before you answer it, Paul, tear the Burnley hat off and speak for it from a commentator's point of view. What would you want if you was going there to commentate on that game? What would you want to see from that game tomorrow afternoon?
well, I think you know me well enough, Ross. When I'm on commentary, I don't wear a Burnley hat. It's very, very simple. Burnley have to start scoring goals. Um, they are looking right now. They've scored 17 so far this season, 3 more than Norwich. But Burnley's problems lie in more than just goal scoring, the creation of goals as well. Burnley get most of their goals technically from free kicks and corners. If you look at the statistics for corners right now, Burnley are bottom of the pile. So where most of their goals are coming from, the source has been cut off. They've actually only had 87 corners this season. The only one near to that, really, of course, is Everton on 93. Um, they haven't had the attacking prowess. The midfield has been torn apart all season long, and they didn't address that. They tried to address it in the transfer market with Mislav Orsic, of course, which did not go very well. But the midfield, I think, is the major issue for Burnley, and it's partly to do with the fact that the service hasn't been there for the front men. Um, if you're asking my opinion, I don't see anything but a Liverpool victory, to be perfectly honest. Um, I don't see it going any other way, if I'm being perfectly honest. I think Burnley have too many fundamental problems in the midfield to realistically compete with Liverpool. Now, they did play very well against Manchester United, but this Manchester United team are not playing well. The goal itself was led up with the pass from Wout Weghorst, was a critical error on the part of Harry Maguire. So, yeah, it's a different beast, is Liverpool. Um, for Burnley, if they get a draw, they can be very, very pleased with that.
Absolutely, Paul. Absolutely. That's all we've got time for this evening. Thank you very much for coming on, Paul. Thanks to JB for his excellent commentary once again. Thanks to Ryan and to Mike and to anyone else who has tuned in and not got involved. If you have just listened tonight, we thank you for getting involved as well. From all of the team here at the TC Hub, we thank you and say thank you very much for tuning in to our coverage this evening. We'll see you again soon. From all of the team here, it's good night.